Right then guys, welcome back to the channel. You're joining me today on the most beautiful day of the year so far. But if you remember, I bought myself the cheapest E46 330 diesel touring manual on the market at £2,000. And in today's episode, I'm going to show you everything that I think is wrong with it. So stay tuned, it's going to be expensive. So my E46, like with all other E46s, it's got a slight rust issue. Yeah, in pretty much the normal places, well, some of them anyway. But let me show you around in a rusty, weird way. Front of the car, we're looking just here at the bonnet, and I think this does sort of wrap underneath the bonnet. That bit doesn't really bother me too much. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I can get a new bonnet. That's quite easy, especially in this colour. They're pretty common. We have had the front arches replaced, so no need to worry about those. But coming around to the rear, that's where we sort of, you know, as with most, get a bit worse. So on this side, you can see there's a little bit of bubble in the back, little tiny bit coming through at the front, but I mean it's not ideal in there. It's a little bit crispy, but it's not too bad. Coming around to the boot, sorry, she's absolutely filthy. I've done a few thousand miles in this in the past few months and the weather's not been kind to it. So come around the back, there's a little bit of rust on the boot lid. Again, not really worried about the rusty boot lid. Get a new one of those easy enough. Right, so come around to the passenger side of the car. We're looking at the rear arches again. This bit gone along here. Apparently there's a bumper mount underneath here, which is what causes all of this. You can remove it, but then the bumper sags. And again, down at the front, so see down there, bubbling come down the bottom. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, apart from, I mean, this little plastic trim could do some new clips, but again, we're not worrying about that. So I would like to say that was all of rust on the E46, but that is only all of the visible rust that you can see. So when I bought the car, it came with a BMW inspection from a few months previously, and right at the end of it, it says rust forming or rusty underside of the rear boot, rear subframe, rear trailing arms. So yeah, that's not ideal, is it? Right, so I think that's pretty much it for the exterior of the car. So we're going to head inside, go for a little drive, and I will talk you through some of the problems I found on the inside of the car. Right, so the elephant in the room is, why am I trying to do a video with the windows open when it's 27 degrees outside? Why don't you just turn the aircon on? Well, it is on. Absolutely nothing happens, which is not ideal. Aircon needs looking at. It's booked in for a regas. It's about £50 or so at one of my local garages. So we'll see if that fixes it. If not, a bit more investigation needed. Right, so we've pulled up on the tiniest slope in the world. Front wheels just raise a little bit. And this leads me to my next question. Sorry, let me turn the fan off. Make sure you're not getting blown around. So, the next thing wrong with this car is the handbrake. While we're being held on a little slope, nice and easy, if I put it in first gear and crank that up, we just pull forward with the handbrake on. Lovely. What about reverse? The reversing sensors as well. So yeah, the handbrake, not very good, needs adjusting. I'm pretty sure it's had new shoes, discs and stuff on the back, pads and all sorts of shit. So hopefully that just needs a little bit of adjustment. I thought it might have been when I bought it because it hadn't been used for a while. But yeah, maybe it's just terrible. I know E46 handbrakes are pretty shit. But yeah, the reversing sensors, nothing behind me. Sometimes there is, who knows? So yeah, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I noticed one of the sensors is actually bubbling on the the paint of it, so perhaps that's why. Could be addressed. But yeah, the handbrake, reversing sensors, terrible. Not very good at all, really. And just to prove I'm not lying about the handbrake, I'll just pull it up for you while we're going along. I'll dip the clutch, just make sure nothing bad happens when we get to a bit of straight. Just to show you that it's not really that good. Right, so here we go, bit of straight road. We're doing 30, pull the handbrake up. 20. 10, there we go. I mean, it's not good, is it? I know in the Civic I tried that the other day, and I did lock up both rear wheels. So, there we go. Handbrake, pretty shit. Right then, had to move the camera for the next one. So if there's any wind noise going on still, I'll try and reduce that a little bit. Yeah, while we're on the discussion of how good the brakes are on this car, actually, pretty good if you're using it with your feet, obviously. Handbrake, not so good. But also, there's a little bit of a, what I believe is a warped disc. So yeah, bear with me while I show you. Let me find a suitable bit of road again, and I'll show you that. Whereas here's my steering wheel, we're doing what? 30, brake a little bit. See that wobble on the wheel? Not ideal, is it? Oh, fucking humps, eh? I'm gonna start braking now. See that the wheel's just wobbling around everywhere. So yeah, wheels wobbling around. Pretty sure there's a warp disc on the front. I priced up some parts, some good branded parts. 150 quid for front discs and pads if you're doing it yourself. It's quite expensive, to be honest, but I think they're quite big on one of these. Got a lot of power, you got a lot of weight behind them. So yeah, front brake needs, well, so yeah, the front brakes, they don't really need doing, but it is quite annoying when you're sort of braking on a slip road off the motorway and you've just got like that slow gradual brake, but your arms being shaken to pieces. But yeah, front disc and pads, might be doing those at some point. Right, this next one is that little creak you can hear. That's just when you're sort of lightly getting on and off the throttle. Pretty sure that's a rear trailing arm bush. It's this arm here. But this is the bush up in this joint. Get my screwdriver up in there, there we go. Right, so I've got the screwdriver up in sort of the back. I mean, I can see that on the tiny GoPro screen. You can hear it, I mean. Yeah, I mean that bush is shagged. It's pretty standard for them. So yeah, rear bushes need doing, which is going to be expensive, I believe. Yeah, so I've had a little look, rear bushes, £15 a bush, which sounds pretty nice until you realise that there's about 10 of them back there. There's 5 on each side, and that doesn't include the subframe or the rear diff. So yeah, 10 bushes, £15 a pop, 150 quid, and you need to buy a bush tool, so that's like another 60 quid. So yeah, rear bushes need doing. Right then, so let's crack on with the under the car inspection, shall we? Right, first things first. Got the the battery tray at the back. It's quite crusty. I don't know what's happened here. I honestly don't know what's happened with this, but that cover is shagged. We've got quite a rusty floor leading up to the rear subframe. I'll try not to make it all feel sick with the camera work. Rear subframe still rusty. Exhaust looks to be pretty good condition though. Obviously roll bar's crusty. Exhaust back here is good. I mean, the suspension components look pretty good apart from the subframe itself, which is crispy as anything. The diff isn't leaking. See that there's no oil in it. Can't see any residue around any of the shafts or anything, so that's pretty reassuring. These are known to crack on the rear subframe floor mounts, but I can't really see anything obvious apart from it's very crispy, so we're gonna have to do something about that eventually. So yeah, overall we bought another car with rust, guys. Not a surprise there really, that is what we do. Wouldn't be one of my cars without a bit of rust anyway, would it? But right then guys, I filled up with some fuel and I realised that I've got the sweatiest back in the world thanks to my nice leather seats and no aircon. I think that was all from just having the window shut for like those few minutes I was showing you, well, letting you listen to the rear suspension creaking away. Clouds coming out now, temperature's dropping a little bit. What are we saying now? Yeah, 24 degrees now, 23.5, so we've dropped 4 degrees since I was pointing today. I suspect we're going to have a big storm soon, so I won't be needing my sunnies or this ridiculous shirt. I feel like JM in this thing, but it is very cool in the heat, I'll tell you that much. So anyway, cheers for watching today, guys. If you're new here, welcome. Hope you stick around, subscribe and like, and all that bullshit. And if you're a regular viewer, well done for listening to me talk shit. Well done indeed. Anyway, I'll catch you next time, guys. Cheers for watching. Hope you have a good one.